What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Coffeez for Closers. I am here with one of my favorite people of all time that I've ever met in the mortgage industry, Mr. Bryan Miller himself, the VP of National Sales at UWM. He's one of the foremost experts in the industry, really the right-hand man to the founder, the president and CEO of UWM, Matt Ishbia. Bryan Miller is a absolute visionary. He's one of the most brilliant minds in the space. He's really the catalyst, in my opinion, and I can argue this all day, for a lot of UWM's success. I would like all of you to kindly welcome Mr. Bryan Miller himself. Thank you so much, Bryan, for coming.
Thank you, Joe. You're quite the hype man. Man, I should have you walk around with me, introduce me when I walk in rooms. I like it.
I know. I told you. I'll work for you. I'll work for you all day long.
Yeah.
So, Bryan, thank you so much for doing this. And I know I grabbed you, and it's a last-minute thing, and I know you're swamped, and you're always swamped. Good. And I really appreciate you doing this. So we're going to dive right into it. You know, I'll be candid. You've been one of my biggest inspirations since I got in the business. I remember, and I was telling some of our media team earlier, like when I got in the business, I wouldn't get on stage. Yep. I was scared to talk, in a public setting. I remember you just coaching me, mentoring me, telling me how to get in front of cameras, telling me how to be a good public speaker. And, that's going to be with me for the rest of my life.
Look at you now. Yeah, where you came the first time we did it together to now is just mind-blowing. Yeah. How your success, and sometimes you just got to get outside your comfort zone. It's the only way you grow in life is getting uncomfortable. So.
And you
firsthand with you.
Yeah, you really were a huge inspiration for me. I remember seeing you the first time and like, wow, that guy's a star. Coming in like you looked like you were 17 years old.
Yeah. Aging. I'm slowly aging.
Slowly aging. God bless you, man. You look great. So one thing I always like to talk to everybody about, just to kind of open up little icebreakers, so people just get a vibe for who you are. It's like, how do you start your day? Your morning routine. You're very successful guy. So like, what do you do every day you start your morning?
Yeah, I mean, I start my day with my family. So I get up around 6, and I make it a point to take my older kids to school before I go to work. So that way I get to spend some time with them because they're now teenagers. Their schedules are very busy after school. So I'll normally get up, spend some time with my daughter, take her to school, take my son to school, head in the office. Then I start making sure that I've cleared all problems from the day before. If I didn't resolve anything the night before, I try to get it resolved the next morning before I really get into it. That way I have a clear head. I don't have things lingering and trailing the whole day that need to be solved.
Nice. Yeah. It's imperative you start your family. You're a father of 4?
Yep, 4.
Yeah, 4 kids like me?
15, 13, 11, and a 9-month-old oopsie baby. But he's been a blessing, so.
That's amazing, man. Yeah. God bless your family.
Yeah.
You just wanted to get caught up with me, huh?
Exactly. Keep one up at me. I'm done now. My wife's done. She won't have another one. So.
I know. My wife said the same thing. I said, honey, I'll have 2 more. 2 more.
Oh, wow. Crazy.
So, like, I'll just jump into this question. How did you get started in the mortgage industry?
It's a good question. I got started actually, my now mother-in-law. It was my girlfriend's mom at the time. I was going into my sophomore year of college. School was tough. Like I come from nothing, single mom on welfare, so having to go to college, I was trying to work full time to pay my way through school, have a social life. And that first year of school was rough for me. And going into my sophomore year, that summer, she kept pressuring me to interview at the Evil Empire, as I refer to it. But she had heard that they were hiring young salespeople, and I had sold things previously. I had sold shoes, I had sold window tint, and I was pretty good at sales. And just to kind of shut her up, I went online and applied and went in for an interview, and they didn't hire me at the location by my house, but they had a location an hour away that one of the teams was willing to bring me on. And I remember walking in there, and sitting to the right of me was a girl from U of M, and to the left, a guy from Michigan State. And they're talking over me about how much student loan debt they had. And it just I'm sitting there going, man, I just fast forwarded 4 years. Like these guys just graduated college, better schools than I was attending. And we've got the same job. I better make the most of this opportunity.
Nice. Now, you started in the mortgage industry. Like, when did you start at UWM?
So I started in the industry when I was 18, almost 19.
And what were you doing when you started?
Oh, phone sales, working in a call center at Rocket, Quicken Loans back then. They had 2,400 originators. I had a lot of success early on. I was hungry, so my first loans I wrote was on a Sunday. No one else was in the office. They had thousands of team members. I was the only team member in there on a Sunday making calls. And wrote a 2-pack for an attorney. Was there for almost about a year. Then I became a mortgage broker and realtor. Did that for almost 2 years. Flipping homes, selling real estate, writing loans. And then in the beginning of '07, when things started to change, products were disappearing quickly, I ended up going to UWM, and I was the youngest account executive there too.
Out of all the businesses you could have went into, why'd you pick mortgage?
I didn't pick mortgage. I saw an opportunity in mortgage. I grew up with very little. My mom married my stepdad when I was a little bit older, and we were lower middle class at that point. But I knew, I was fortunate enough that he had some friends who were successful that we would go stay with and visit from time to time. And seeing those people's lifestyle, I was like, that's what I want when I'm older. So I just saw an opportunity in mortgage, whether it was mortgage or, selling paint or something. I like to think that I would have been successful no matter what.
Mortgage picked you.
Yeah, mortgage picked me. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now you got 4 kids. You're the VP for all of national sales. You manage all the top 100 accounts for UWM. And I mean, your grind is unreal. How do you manage running such a big empire? And you're the visionary for a lot of the technology. You're always implementing a lot of the initiatives that UWM has. And you got a toddler.
Yeah, toddler. I have a couple businesses that I'm involved with too. A lot of it's just scaling your time. That's something I've learned from Matt. The importance of trying to control your time, having great people to support you, like understanding the value of time versus money. So, I have team members that work with me inside UWM and outside, just to make sure that I'm making the most of every minute of every day. So, even though I'm naturally a salesperson and structure is something that I try to resist, it's the only way to survive, blocking off time for the things that are important to you, whether it be driving new business or building relationships or solving problems. You got to set some structure, because if not, you get lost in the minutia.
Yeah, you're really good at that. Because one thing I really admire about you, Bryan, it's like you're grinding all day, then you're spending time with the kids, then you're coaching hockey.
Yep.
Then you're taking your daughter to dance.
Yeah.
Then you're making your wife happy.
Yeah, I'm trying my best in that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is, and I have a great wife who helps support a lot with the kids. We're fortunate that she stays home. But yeah, it is. But that's the only way to do it. I think if I were slowed down, I can't slow down ever, even on the weekends. If we rarely have a day where there's nothing going on, I'm pacing around the house looking for stuff to do. So,
what do you think that source is of inspiration for you?
For me, what do you mean, like drive? The thing?
Yeah, what drives you?
Definitely my kids, my family. Before my kids was my wife. I never met my dad, so I always felt like I had a chip on my shoulder. I had something to prove. And then I really put things in high gear when my wife got pregnant with my daughter, and I knew I was going to be a father. Like that flipped a switch in me, and where I was able to really focus and work. When I started at UWM, I was given our worst territory at that time. East Tennessee. The guy who had the whole state before me had gotten fired, and he had the entire state of Tennessee. He couldn't get enough loans to keep his job. But at that exact same time that I kind of started at UWM and my life was starting, my wife got pregnant. So that was a great motivation for me to be like, all right, I'm going to give this all I want. I want my kids to have everything in life that I didn't have, and I was willing to outwork everyone else.
I love to see that, Bryan. And one thing, I've seen you throughout the years, and one thing I saw in you that I really admire personally is like, and I told you this, I'm like, Bryan, God tests you with all this tribulation. Like, you're getting thrown all types of tribulation. Yeah. I'm like, really, you were tested like Job.
You call me Job sometimes.
Yeah, I called you Job before. Yeah. And I was like, man, it's amazing what you can go through, and then you bounce back, and you keep that same level of inspiration. You keep that same level of drive. You just don't let it get you down.
Can't. Everyone's going to go through challenges. And it's tough. I mean, dealing with some of those things. Sometimes I block the bad things, which isn't healthy. But yeah, sitting there crying, being in your sadness isn't going to get you anywhere. And for me, I'm not done. So, I still have more I want to do. So, but yeah, it's
What do you want to do? What's the game plan?
I mean, the ultimate, I'm still young. I'm not even 40 yet. So.
You're not even 40 yet?
No, 38 years old. So I mean, most of it's around my kids and what I want to do when I'm older, the type of lifestyle I'd like to live, the control and flexibility that I want. So I've still got a good decade to put in, before I get to that point. But by the time I'm 50, I'll never stop like grinding and working, but I think I'll just do it in a different way.
Yeah. What's that vision look like for you? Just running businesses?
Yeah, running businesses, consulting, probably. I spend a lot of my time consulting. That's almost what I am when I break it down to the base level with our partners like you. I spend a lot of my time trying to help you improve your business. I remember when we met, obviously your company was much smaller and trying to bring advice. So maybe at that time, just, becoming full-time consulting, being involved in a couple businesses, but more importantly, focusing on the things that make me happy. I think it was Warren Buffett, that said this, and something I've tried to put into practice this year is to spend my energy and money into things that make me happy. So for example, something my wife and I are doing is we're really focused on, experiences for our kids rather than things. So rather than just buying them like the new game system that came out, we're putting money towards taking a nice vacation and going to see new places. So I want to do a lot of that. I love being outdoors. Surfing, like if my dream life is to live in Hawaii in the winter, surf every day,
We talked about that before.
Yeah, live on the North Shore. I'm not a great surfer, but I love it. And, do some business calls in the afternoon and then, watch the sunset at night and then come to Michigan. I have a house on the lake, which I love being on the water. So I would be on the water every single day, mix in some work and business, when I'm older at some point.
I love that. And I know me and you share that goal, and we're going to still put it on our radar. We're both going to get a house together, North Shore.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Go surf every day. And I'm a lousy surfer too. So, we
can learn together.
We'll get good lesson, get a good instructor. One thing, again, and this is not supposed to be just a podcast about saying how much I admire a lot of the things that you do, but another thing that I really look up to you at, and you've mentored me in a lot of this, but like your strong sense of grit.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, like, how did you get such a strong sense of grit? Because that's something that, people aren't taught grit.
Yeah, they're not. And I think that is, I've always been super competitive, even when I was young in sports. Like, I've never been afraid to work hard. I always looked at it as trading time for money, even when I was a kid and I was 13 and I got a job. And then being able to have mentors and good mentors around me, people that work hard no matter what. Like I was fortunate that about my second year at UWM, Matt started mentoring me, our CEO. So for almost a decade, every Friday morning I would come in and we would meet and share best practices, and talk about ways to grow the company, and he would teach me about the business. So having good people around me that have a very, very strong work ethic kind of drives you to do more. And then, being born with a competitiveness, wanting to win is important.
I love it. And I'm going to bring this up because we're at a Masterminds.
Yep.
I'm going to ask you up front, what motivated you to start the Masterminds for all the top companies in the country?
Yeah, I had, but some of it was feedback from our partners, and really what was the catalyst is that I was fortunate enough that Matt mentored me. I had some other good mentors, and talking with our partners, the one thing that everyone lacked was people around them that they could lean on for support. So part of it was scaling my own time, because I'm trying to help 100 people, 100 business owners, work with AEs, and, smarter to have you guys help each other, really. And from requests, a handful of people had requested that, man, I wish that there was like a group or something that we could do where I could talk to other people that are in my situation. The thing that I learned from Matt, and I think a lot of people in our industry don't understand, is that most owners and CEOs are just former salespeople. They have never had any coaching or guiding. They don't know how to make the right decisions or wrong decisions. They haven't lived through it. So if I could bring a community of all the best people together, to share best practices, to learn from each other's mistakes and victories, they could all be successful together. And that's the way it's worked. There's some people in this group whose businesses absolutely exploded in their time being there. You know, you look at like Robert Lynn. You know, he started off in the group. He was over in the corner, would never speak.
He was on the show yesterday.
Yeah, he's kind of quiet. You know, I met Robert when he started his company, and
he's brilliant.
He is brilliant. That's why I included him in the group, even though his production wasn't there starting out. And now he's the best in Florida. Yeah, he's doing hundreds of loans a month and has built a very strong business. So, you know, that's rewarding to me. I want to help people. You know, I love helping people and seeing others be successful. You know, I think too many people like pocket watch, or they don't truly root for others. I want people to be successful. It doesn't bother me at all. I feel rewarding and fulfilled when I watch people grow and, you know, build their company or build their personal life, and I could play a part in it.
You have a huge abundance mentality.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you just want to give
for sure.
And you don't really care about anything else. Just keep pouring into people.
Yep.
And it shows you fostered these relationships with these guys. Robert, you know, when he didn't earn a seat, you're like, I'm going to get you that seat. I remember starting with you, I was doing, you know, I don't know,
50 loans, I think.
50 loans a month or something, and we grew to 1,500 loans a month under your, you know, motivation, inspiration, and mentorship.
Thank you.
That
makes me feel good to hear.
So, and it works. It works. And you were also the catalyst for starting Success Track.
Yep.
You're the catalyst for starting Blink.
Yeah, that was one of the big ones. Yep. Boost was another one of my things that I built.
Yeah, and how do you come up with so many great ideas?
It's being in the weeds of our partner's business. So a lot of times I feel like, you know, I'm almost like a translator between the two sides, because I'm in leadership and executive leadership at UWM. And then I'm very much in the weeds of our partner's business, the trends that are happening, the things that they need. And like Success Track, you know, came up in one of the meetings with Matt, you know, one of those Friday morning meetings, and it'd been on my agenda for like a year, because looking at these retail lenders, and this is still an issue today, but we're doing a better job of solving it, is that we cannot compete with a Rocket when it comes to training and education. They bring in, you know, 30, 40, 50, 60 kids off the street every month, make them great salespeople, you know, and that was something that was lacking in our partners. They didn't have the scale to hire a full-time trainer for their people, so there was a lack of education. And, you know, Success Track, now we have 40 different classes, hundreds of people in every week. I'm really blown away by what it's grown to be.
I think it's a 9-figure monthly bill.
That's got to be, yeah. That's huge.
As well for UWM.
It is. It's huge.
I mean, we take 150 people just in one group, EMC, every quarter. And not in addition to however many are going from EMC outside of the dedicated one.
Yep.
So just on our company, you guys are probably spending $200,000-300,000 a month.
Yes, easily. It's a big investment, but it's worth it.
It is. It is.
The more skilled the broker wholesale force can be, the better for our business. And I think that's something that Matt has done a great job of, and that I've learned from him is to not look at the dollars. We don't even talk about it. You know, if something makes sense and you think it's going to help your business, just believe in it, and money will follow. You know, money will follow the success. You don't make any decisions based on financials.
I love that. And I always tell everybody, don't worry about the money. Serve your clients. Serve each other. The money follows. The money is guaranteed to follow your success.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah, that's the serving mentality is a hard mentality, I think, for a lot of people. I've had people say that to me, like they only treat others the way that they treat them. They'll never give more, and I've never understood that. Like, I'm going to help people no matter what, and I don't care what comes back to me in return.
Now, your successes at UWM, like, unbelievable, insurmountable success you've seen. You've started, and tell the audience, like, where'd you start at UWM?
So I started off, I was the youngest AE there. We had a small team, small company, worked out of a windowless room in the back of an old grocery store. And I was by far the youngest. I wasn't even 21 yet. I was given our worst territory. So this guy named Eric had the entire state of Tennessee. Back then we would do it by state. And I got assigned my territory. I had the eastern half of Tennessee, which Tennessee was looked at as the worst territory at that time. So I didn't even have a city. I didn't have Nashville or Memphis. I had Knoxville, which was a college town. So that instantly put a chip on my shoulder, and I wanted to prove people wrong. But I had a few challenges. So, one, I was too young to travel. No one could know what I looked like because I looked so young. Like, Literally, they wouldn't put my picture on the website because I looked like I was 11 years old. That was the only thing our website did, is you would click on, you'd see your AE's photo. And I couldn't go see my people. And Tennessee was very much a handshake state. People wanted to, shake your hand and meet you in person, and nobody could meet me. And then the third was that, people from Tennessee are amazing. I have some of my closest friends live in Tennessee, but a majority of the people I was working with, they didn't want more. They were happy closing 2 loans a month. If they could buy Bowls tickets, pay their mortgage, and buy beer, they were happy. So what I had to do was identify every single person that wanted to grow their business, because there wasn't enough business in my territory to keep my job. So I went through and evaluated everyone, and the people that wanted to grow, that wanted to do more, those are the ones that I invested my time and energy into. And you fast forward a year later, I have enough loans to keep my job before the threshold. And then the next step was, becoming the #1 AE, which I did over the following year and a half, and creating business in Tennessee. When I started in East Tennessee, there wasn't enough business to keep my job. And by the time I was done there, I was getting, a couple hundred loans a month from that territory. How it helped numerous brokers build their business from scratch. And it was very fulfilling, rewarding. I'm still friends with a lot of the people I worked with. Some of them are even here now.
Yeah, I think Matt Gladeau, right?
Yeah, Matt Gladio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin Kennerson.
Kevin Kennerson?
Yeah.
Oh, that you've helped foster all these guys, huh?
Yeah, I've been fortunate. I've got a lot of great relationships, a lot of, close friends that are successful and have vacation homes.
Yeah.
So I when everyone's like, "Oh, I've got a vacation home," you can say it. I'm like, I'm not one of those people that's just not going to take you up on that offer. Be warned. So
That's awesome. So you don't really get to pay. You don't need to pay for vacation.
yeah, I don't need to be.
They're all comps.
Yep. Going to California, I got your condo. Arizona, Rob's house. So it's good to have successful friends.
Yeah, and you got so many successful friends. You got access to private jets. Whatever you need, yachts. Like, you're dialed, man.
Yeah,
it's
dialed.
like you. But you were a reason why these people got all these things.
I try to be.
You were the reason why. Like, I was talking to my priest earlier. I'm like, he was like, I just need some help with a vacation. I'm like, making calls, like, can he use this boat or whatever? Like, because he's the reason why I'm here. Like, if you needed something, I'll make whatever accommodations. Like, get out of the house. Brian's coming.
I appreciate that.
Because it's so important to me that the relationship that we built together, and where I am now, like, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. And I don't think I've ever directly told you that, but
I appreciate you telling me.
But what a cool thing that you do is to impact so many lives, because you impacted me.
Yep.
And then I impacted.
Think of how many people you've impacted. It's crazy.
1,000.
Think about that.
1,000 people work at. I mean, we have maybe 1,500 people total.
Wow.
But we have 900 people that are active. These are families. They have kids. So you directly impact tens of thousands of people.
You're right. I've never even thought about that. I've never taken the time to reflect on it, but it's true, and it's amazing. Hopefully they impact people too, and we all just keep giving.
Through your leadership, through your servitude, you're impacting possibly millions of people.
Possibly. Yeah. I don't know if I'd give myself that much credit, but but possibly, and I hope I do. I want to have a positive impact on people. I want to help others. So.
Yeah.
And one thing I think that more successful people should do, and I need to do this myself, is exposing yourself to younger people that aren't successful yet. Luckily, like I said, my dad had a friend who was a pilot and an entrepreneur, and I got to see the lifestyle that he lived. But, spreading that word to others, and no matter where you come from, because I didn't come from the greatest place, but, I've got a nice life now, and I've worked hard for it. And, in America, anything's possible. It's what's great about it, that you can come from nothing and create something.
So you've seen so much success in the business, and a lot of people, become successful and then lose it all. Mm-hmm. And then now they're becoming successful again. And, what are some of the trends that you feel are on the horizon in the mortgage sector? Yeah,
I mean, obviously, the most important thing is the ability to execute. And even from a business owner perspective, from an account executive perspective at UWM, I would watch AEs that could build it once and never bring it back. Same thing with business owners, build it once and never bring it back. You have to have the ability to set a goal and execute. But specifically on the horizon, I mean, AI is coming. There's nothing anyone can do about it. Technology is always going to evolve. So looking at ways that you can simplify the consumer experience while driving down costs but creating scale, I think will be very important in the future with some of the capabilities that are already here today. And the other big thing is investing in growing your organic brand. I think a lot of times as a business owner, you get put in a bubble and you've got your head down, you're focused on what's happening around you in the immediate, taking a step back and looking out the trends of where things are going, where you should be investing, because no matter what, more and more consumers are online every single day. That's how they're acquiring the businesses that they work with, and making sure that you're building, whether it be your personal brand like you're doing right now, or the brand of your company to be at the forefront.
I love it. Let me ask you this, and this is really important especially for people listening now. It's like, what would you say the mindset one has to be that's crucial for success in the mortgage industry right now?
That's a really good question. You have to have a long-term mindset. That's what's important. And so focused on where you want to go. Like, what are you working towards? And I see people, all the time that kind of make the mistake. Even some of them are very successful and they don't know why they're doing it or what their goal is. Like, is your goal to close the most loans? Is it to have the most originators? Is it to make the most money? Is it to have the highest impact on people? Like, what are you working towards? And being able to break that down from a monthly, daily, hourly, what impact you need to have. A lot of people get discouraged because they don't realize the length of time it takes to build something successful. So you've got to look for little victories every single day. What's a win today? And that's something I still try to do is get a win, get somebody new to talk to me, or make some sort of forward progress on a project, help you hire somebody, whatever it may be. Look for little victories every day while being cognizant of your long-term goals.
Let me ask you, what are some of the obstacles you think, the biggest obstacles you've faced in the space thus far? Like, just whether it's regulators, whether it's technology, whether it's people thinking you were too young.
Yeah, I mean, that was always an obstacle for me. I think people judging me before they knew me was an obstacle. Even when Matt made me a team leader, he's like, oh, your age is the only negative, but he did it anyways because I was like 21 at the time. But I like being underestimated. I remember when I was the top producing account executive at UWM, they would bring in new people to hire and they'd walk them through the sales floor and they'd always stop by my desk and point to me and be like, oh, this kid's the top guy. He's making this much money. And all these people, they would come to me and be like, oh, I'm going to take you down. If you can do it, I'm definitely going to do it because I look like I'm young. I'm this kid. Then 30 days later, that same person has their head down. They won't make eye contact with me, because it's a lot harder than they thought it was, which I don't mind. I'd rather be underestimated, people not see me coming. So
I love that. You've always been the underdog.
Yeah, I try to be. Yeah.
And then you just show them.
Yeah.
Show them through execution.
Work ethic, execution, paying attention to trends. The biggest thing that has been a key to my success is like a thirst for knowledge. I literally think I can learn something from anyone. A homeless person, a janitor, somebody brand new that just started at our company, the CEO, everybody has something to teach you, whether it's in business or in life. You can learn from everybody, and I've tried to carry that with me throughout my career and not think that I'm better than anyone, because I'm not. We're all the same. And, really understand that, if you spend time with someone, you're going to learn something.
I love that. You always have to stay humble. And that's what allows you to continue to grow. You stay humble, you keep learning from people, and that's really what's allowed you to be the voice for all these brokers with leadership at UWM.
Yeah.
Because you're in the weeds with these guys, you're learning from everybody that you're working with, and you're bringing our voice to, before I had a direct contact with Matt, there was no one had a direct contact.
Yeah.
You were the voice for me.
Yep.
You were the guy
and they were going to bat for you, trying to make things happen.
Yeah, you were the guy just making
Now
stuff.
you talk to Matt more than I do, probably.
Yeah, now it's like not as much as people think, just because we're so slammed, but it's been an awesome opportunity to be mentored by him as well. Like, you got that direct mentorship for decades.
Yeah.
It's a lot of one-on-ones, and amazing because now the audience is getting that mentorship through watching this podcast, right?
Yep. Yeah, spreading your knowledge.
Which is awesome. Let me ask you and I'm asking for a friend, like, how are you passing on your grit mentality to your kids?
That's a really good question, because that's a fear of mine.
Yeah, it's a fear of mine too. That's why I'm asking.
A lot of it is my wife. My kids are great. Like, and I don't even just say that to say it. Like, when everyone else compliments you on your kids, you know they're pretty good. And my wife has done a really good job of keeping them humble. But for me, is making them work for everything that they have. You know, if they want something, creating an opportunity for them to work for it. Sometimes, because I grew up with nothing, I do go overboard, and I'll spoil them a little bit. But you know, it's instilling that work ethic and teaching them. Like, my kids, you know, I'm especially, you know, the ones that are interested in it. Like, my sons are a little bit more interested than my daughter. And the car, for years, I've tried to educate them on what I know, like to share my knowledge about the business and how to run a company. Like, my 11-year-old, one day, 2 years ago, he was 9. He was like, I'm like, because he's always, I know. Like, that's his response. I know, Dad, I know. And I'm like, no one's ever going to want to hire you if you can't take coaching and you always say, I know. And he goes, well, you told me never to work for anyone else, so why does that matter? Like, I'm not going to work for anybody. I'm going to work for myself. And he's already got business plans drawn up on the different businesses he wants to do. And, you know, so creating a strong work ethic, but helping them figure out who they want to be. Most important to me is that my kids are happy, you know, and I keep trying to preach that to them, that yes, you have to have a strong work ethic, and nothing's going to come easy in life, but you need to figure out what will make you happy and chase it, go after it.
I love that. Now, I like to end the podcast and let everybody in the audience know, because this is my signature question. It's a 3-pronged question. What's a personal goal that you have? What's a family goal? And what's a business goal? And you can answer them in any order.
Yeah. So, personal goal is for this year, was to get outside my comfort zone. So, you know, I have started exercising, you know, started a podcast because I wasn't comfortable with that. So I set a couple little tiers of getting outside my comfort zone, because sometimes things can be monotonous, especially when the years start passing quickly. So that has been my personal goal, to get outside my comfort zone. And then family goal has been time related. So, you know, taking 3 vacations with my family this year is a big one, because we didn't hit that last year. We only took 2. And then, you know, trying to take at least 3 dates with each of my kids throughout the year that are one-on-one, or one trip with them. Like, last year I took my son to Disneyland for his birthday, and it was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. And then professional, one is financial based, which I won't share, but I have a certain goal there. But then also to meet with, you know, 50 of my partners in person this year, 50 of my 100 clients, you know, to build even better relationships with them and meet with at least 50 of them in person, which I think I'll surpass. I'll probably get to 80 or 90.
That's awesome. And we'll count this as one too, because I don't think our conversation ever went this deep.
Yeah.
You know,
sure.
We've hung out for years, but that's one of the things, and I say this all the time, the most enjoyable part of this podcast is the fact that I get to go so deep on and getting to know the guests on the show. It's just been awesome. It's been awesome to sit with you and dive deep into your goals, dive deep into your vision, and you've been a pleasure to have. Thanks, Bryan.
Thanks for having me.
God bless everything that you do, man. Keep winning.
Thanks
keep
for all the
community.
positive words about me too. You make me feel good today.
Yeah, good. We're gonna go crush it. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.